Simple notion: before you can successfully hunt ruffed grouse, you need to know where to find them. Northwoods traditions aside, riding the back roads hoping to surprise gravel-pecking grouse is not going to work all season. Instead, the most successful grouse hunters learn to recognize the places the birds frequent throughout the season. In other words, they hunt the cover, not the birds. Any hunter who takes the time to study the subtleties of changing grouse habitat from early fall through late winter can expect to more than double his past success rate. It's truly all in the eye of the beholder. If the beholder has an eye for prime grouse cover, that is. The trick is to find the thickest cover available at any given time of year. Grouse are never fond of open woods, and they don't like pastures or meadows, so don't look for them in places that are more attractive to pheasants or quail. Unlike their gallinaceous cousins, ruffed grouse are dependable denizens of dense cover. The options can vary from alders to cedars, grey birch to red maple, mountain laurel and hemlock. The bottom line is the same: thick cover means more birds. Look, then walk. It has been estimated that the average grouse hunter walks about 2 miles per flush and then hits only 3 or 4 birds per box of shells fired. Thrashing and crashing blindly through cover in hopes of at least hearing a bird go out the other side will produce the expected results. But there is a better way to approach the subject. Before taking that first step, take a moment to look closely at the woods and think things through. The thoughtful hunter will put up many more birds per mile than the anxious, over-eager hunter, a realization that usually comes with age and many years of ground pounding. What are we looking for? In simple terms, the thickest stuff available. In any upland habitat where grouse exist, there will be a mix of mature forest, dense saplings, brush, meadows, and a large amount of edge cover, mixed age growth abutting those stands of mature trees. There will invariably be a mix of softwoods and hardwoods of various ages, heights, and densities. Looking at all of this, focus on the cover that is most dense and move slowly toward it. Slowly is the key, by the way, because grouse can be anywhere in the woods at any given time. When they sense the presence of danger, and hunters with dogs applies here, the birds will immediately and quietly gravitate toward the thick stuff with a plan to exit out the back door. This means the hunter must see the cover for what it is: a route of escape for alerted walking birds that will naturally move away from the threat and keep going till they run out of places to hide. Cover can be a single fallen tree or a long strip of edge growth. To the birds, it's all the same. The hunter's challenge is to come up with a strategy that allows him to close the distance for a shot. The game is the same throughout the season. However, the definition of thick will change from month to month. The hunter's eye must be able to pick out the progressive differences in habitat density from opening day to the close of the season, which can be as late as December in some states. Those changes are subtle but predictable from season to season. Water sources. Nothing is more confounding than trying to find grouse in early fall. The leaves are still thick and green. The birds will be traveling in tightly knit family groups, and high daytime temperatures make the going miserable for hunters and dogs alike. Even so, the number of grouse available to hunters will never be higher than it is on opening day. To find them, start by hunting near water sources, small streams, ponds and beaver flowages, overgrown orchards, or along gravel roadways and logging roads. All of these places feature thick edge cover with abundant succulent green forage on the ground. When these cover types border dense stands of mature evergreens where grouse prefer to roost, the odds for success increase. Birds will flush rapidly in singles and pairs, so stay on the alert even after the first few grouse have gone out of sight. Mark them down if possible, but stay put for a few minutes in case there are a few laggards in the flock. Jungles and islands. Mid-season is the ideal time to be grouse hunting, that period of the year when the leaves are nearly down and the temperatures don't increase much above 35 most of the day. This is what grouse hunting is all about. During this segment of the season, grouse are as predictable as they are ever going to be. In most areas, the birds will remain on the roost till 9 a.m., head out to feed by 10 a.m., and then begin to head back to the roost just before dark. It is possible to roost grouse just as turkey hunters mark spring gobblers. The technique requires nothing more than good hearing. Don't leave the woods till pitch dark. Stand quietly and listen for grouse leaving the ground and heading for the trees. On a quiet evening, it's possible to hear a dozen or more birds flapping into the treetops. Just make a mental note of these sights and plan to be back there the next morning. Mid-season birds seem to sense the coming of harsher times and spend most of their daylight hours eating apples, mushrooms, and the few remaining green leaves they can find. Food sources are the best and most productive places to find them now. It's much easier to read grouse cover at this time because the variations in tree age and density are easier to discern. The birds will be found in thick strips of sapling cover, brush and vines where few hunters are eager to go. Prime grouse cover now means thick, clinging, vicious conditions, almost jungle-like, but that's where the birds will be found. Look for clumps or islands of dense cover as well as long strips of thick saplings, which provide convenient running space for birds trying to evade danger. Hunt these strips slowly and along their outer edges. Move toward an imagined apex where you assume a grouse is nervously waiting to take wing. Let the dogs or fellow hunters push them out, and stay alert for birds trying to run back through the line of drivers. Within the basic cover types are additional grouse hotspots that include standalone apple trees, softwoods, fallen logs, ancient fence rows, brush-covered rock piles, clear-cut edges, evergreen stands, clinging vines, and anything else that's thick, impenetrable, and likely to be avoided by predators, including humans and their dogs. Mid-season is the time to be on the lookout for these small islands of cover. Any obvious or unusual tangle of live or dead vegetation, vines included, that a grouse can sneak into and flush out of without offering a shot. In many cases, the island turns out to be a lone fruit tree, apple, cherry, mulberry, etc., that is surrounded by thin saplings, low brush or other ground cover that invites the bird to make an approach on foot. Most hunters don't realize that grouse spend most of their time on the ground and will walk long distances in search of food or roosting sites. It's not unusual to sit within a grove of apple trees at midday and watch a dozen or more grouse come walking in from various directions. They'll certainly fly when they need to, but undisturbed grouse are most likely to be encountered on the ground, at least until serious winter weather takes over. It's important to hunt these places under the assumption that a bird will be there. It might be necessary to hit a dozen such sites per flush, but at the peak of the so-called grouse cycle, which comes around every 10 years or so, there could be more than one grouse in each spot. Don't quit a good-looking thicket until a bird flushes, and then check it again on the way out, just in case. Roost sites. Reading winter grouse cover is probably as easy as it gets in this sport, but there's always a glitch. Gone are the leaves, the apples, and the succulent greens. The birds now exist on buds gleaned from aspens, apples, and birches, and there may still be a few ruffs in the thicker apple orchards and brushy tangles during the day. The real key to grouse hunting in the late season is finding roosting sites. With food in short supply and the risk of predation at its peak, winter grouse tend to stay close to dense stands of pine, spruce, fir, laurel, or hemlock, often for days on end. Look for the most action where the evergreens are thickest, and spend most of the day looking up into the treetops, not down on the ground. Though it's possible to kick a few birds out of a fresh snow, where they like to spend the night during a major winter storm, the majority of birds will flush from high among the tangled limbs of evergreen stands. Though winter grouse are relatively easy to find, the glitch is that these birds are tough to get shots at because they tend to flush wild at the first sign of danger, often 40 or more yards away. By this time, the grouse population is down to little more than next spring's breeding adults, and they no longer want to play the "here I am, shoot me" game. It's all about survival now, and grouse are expert at evasion, so expect to work hard to get a shot. Work the evergreens with a partner or group and come in quickly from all angles at once. These nervous birds will often flush 30 yards or more in front of the most experienced dog, and will fly several hundred yards to a distant copse of conifers. Pause often to read the cover well and make every effort to block the most likely exit. The one door left open will, of course, be the one the birds use to escape. When marking winter birds down, listen for second or even third follow-up flushes. With little cover and a strong will to live, these birds tend to utilize every inch of their winter range, which can exceed 100 acres. This means hunters can expect to walk many more miles per bird compared to what they'd walk for early-season grouse, which can find all their food and cover needs within 30 or fewer acres. There are no 40 flush days in the dead of winter. Mature, tough, and alert, the winter ruff displays a penchant for intolerance that presents a unique challenge, even at a time when the cover is somewhat easier to read. No hunter can claim or expect 100% success on flying grouse, and that is as it should be. The birds, the cover, and the circumstances simply do not allow such banner hunts. Expect to earn every bird and pay for it with a few cuts and scratches in the process. Grouse hunting has never been the easiest of the upland shooting sports, but truly, who among us would have it any other way? Reprinted with permission from Ruffed Grouse cover, an interesting read. By Stephen D. Carpenteri, Duchowie 1010. The Upland Almanac, Jesen 1010. 2010 by Stephen D. Carpenteri.